two. Check two. Hello. 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 What's going on? It's getting really exciting here. Where are we talking? Where are we talking? Happy Vietnam Liberation Day, everyone. Happy Vietnam Liberation Day to you as well, Relic. Wonderful day. It's a wonderful day. We've talked about that before. I've done whole episodes talking about the fall of Saigon, like probably 2 years ago. We've talked about it before, but like, imagine the feeling. Imagine the feeling of those North Vietnamese tanks rolling into Saigon, seeing the Americans finally turning their tail and hightailing it out of there, all lining up for the choppers at the embassy. And imagine the feeling. Imagine the feeling, folks. Try and really imagine it. Right? Of those tanks rolling into Saigon. And like, it wasn't just a 10-year brutal struggle and brutal war against the Americans, in which the Americans just committed unspeakable crimes. It wasn't 10 years, it was hundreds of years. It was 200 years of colonization by the French, 200 years of struggle, of failed revolutionary efforts, of failed anti-colonial efforts. Every single time making a few more gains and then getting pulled back, and a few more gains and getting pulled back. And then a brutal struggle finally against the French. They finally defeat the French with the decisive battle at Dien Bien Phu. They finally defeat the French occupier. They get a small taste of freedom, and then the Americans say, no, you're not allowed to be free. You're not allowed to have a revolution. You're not allowed to overthrow colonialism. And the fucking Americans come in and engage in this barbaric 10-year struggle against the Vietnamese people. And you finally after that struggle, that brutal struggle, millions killed, you finally see the American dogs escaping with their tail between their legs, dumping helicopters into the ocean. And you see the liberation, the liberatory tanks rolling into Saigon. That's just beautiful to think about. I'm sure there were many times, not just over the course of those 10 years, but over the previous decades, where some of these principled and dedicated revolutionaries said that it's hopeless. You know what I mean? There must have been many times, many long, cold, dark nights where even the most principled, dedicated revolutionary said it's hopeless. We can't keep doing this. We can't do it. They're too strong. They're too powerful. They've got too much money, too much wealth, too much resources, and we have nothing. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We might as well just give up. We might as well just quit. And they fucking did it. They did it. Amazing. What an amazing, inspiring victory for the entire world. Hey, Nick, how's it going? What's cracking with you? Not much is cracking over here. I just made a pretty good-looking soup, like a ramen type situation. But I gotta wait for it to cool down. If I try to eat this right now, I'm gonna burn the shit. I've got to just kind of wait at least 10 minutes for this very tantalizing ramen to cool down before I can eat it. Then some DBSs on Twitter say that's a bad thing. No, because the revolution's got to be perfect. It's got to be flawless. Are there going to be civil liberties for the fascists? That's what they were asking. Are they going to be able to keep their radio programs and their newspapers and their farms? I'm sure there was a lot of perfect Western leftists who were asking these important questions in those days. I'm back working from home. Rob's on the big screen. We love to hear it, Dakadoon. We love to hear it. The day when Vietnam was engulfed in darkness, according to the victims of communism. Yeah, of course it wasn't engulfed in darkness when the goddamn great Satan United States military was dropping napalm on villages and little kids and farmers, fishermen, dropping chemical attacks on the jungle, creating birth defects and fucked up health repercussions of that for decades in the future, generations in the future. No, that wasn't when it was engulfed in darkness. That wasn't when it was engulfed in darkness. I know this is what I'm saying, Sean. The Empire, the big baddies. All the money in the world, billions of dollars they spent on that war. They're retreating. They're leaving. They're going home. They're climbing over each other to escape. Because they lost. Beautiful. What an inspiration that is. What an absolute inspiration. Anyway, we can look at more Vietnam stuff today because it is an important day. We've covered previous, going on, 4 years doing the show. We've covered this anniversary before, but we can absolutely look at some Vietnam content. Very strong, really significant relationship to what we're currently seeing right now, right? Both with the struggle of the actual people that are being colonized and are victims of imperialism, and the campus activism domestically. You know? And you can look back at the New York Times and all the different stories that were going on about the time about all the atrocities. About all the atrocities that the North Vietnamese committed. I'm sure everyone who recognizes Vietnam War was bad now supported the protesters then, of course, yeah. And the interesting thing about Columbia and these big academic institutions is that the protesters were right then, but they're just wrong now, though, you know? These protesters in the 60s, we acknowledge that they had it right. But not now, though. Now they're wrong, though. Now we need to call in the cops on these people. What are the odds? I know, it's hard to believe. It's really hard to believe. No, but seriously, though, it would have been all the exact same discourse. Oh, yeah, you can be against the war, but you got to condemn the Viet Cong, though. Let's going on the news to talk about the violent, barbaric Vietnam War that we were subsidizing. Well, before we begin, though, let's just make clear that we condemn the North Vietnamese. We condemn the Viet Cong. I don't need to go list all the atrocities that we've reported in our media, in the New York Times and elsewhere. All the terrible, horrible things that the Viet Cong has done. You can't possibly support that. Sure, you can support this liberatory struggle in the abstract, right? You can support it in the abstract. You've got to condemn the people actually waging this struggle, though. You have to do that. Otherwise, you can't be taken seriously. Sure, they've been right every time before, but this one time they're wrong and are Hitler as well. Yeah. Right. Flawless logic. I mean, we're already getting right into the discourse. I haven't even chit-chatted at all. But we're already seeing this, this discourse happening where it's it's just they're the same as the Klan. They're the same as the Klan. They're basically Republicans, like that guy, that gaming guy, whoever the fuck his name was. They're basically Republicans. They're basically Trump supporters. They're basically white nationalists, but just like the horseshoe version of that. That's why we can just support the cops going in to beat them up and arrest them. Right? I saw this woman on MSNBC, I think, talking about like Jewish Voice for Peace, being like, it's just the same as like blacks for Trump or gays for Trump. They're out of step with the entire community and they're being tokenized. That's all. They're basic, but that's the liberal response. They're basically conservatives. They're basically white nationalists. That's why we don't have to agree with them. We don't have to like support their right to free speech. They're Trump supporters. They're white nationalists. They're Nazis. When it's the Israel supporters that uses the exact same identical blood and soil nationalism arguments that white nationalists do. Identical. All this shit about Western civilization. Israel's defending Western civilization and our precious values. Who are the ones talking like that? Who are the ones talking like that? It's the Israel supporters that are saying that kind of shit. So it's amazing of these liberals that are bending over backwards doing this mental gymnastics, trying to delegitimize these protests by being like, oh, they're basically Republicans. They're basically conservatives. They're basically white nationalists. When they're the ones, and look at the conservatives that support Israel, and are agree. These people are agreeing with them about the need to call in the cops and disrupt these protests. But they're the conservatives, though. We're the precious progressive liberals. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Hi.
Sam, hello. Thanks for the 27 months. Thanks, Sam. Trump is getting more black vote than any Republican nominee ever, not even close. I mean, maybe that's possible. I still don't really see this idea that anyone who's being turned away from Biden or the Democrats thinks Trump is like a good option, no matter what culture they're from. I'm not really convinced that we're going to see any of that. A lot of months, Nick. I know. I've been doing this a while now, haven't I? I've been doing this a while now. I'm a cagey veteran of the streaming world. Anyway, yesterday was kind of neat, wasn't it? I did some live reporting yesterday. I went down to the GAZA encampment on McGill campus. And it was really cool. I don't know, like I'm seeing there's police crackdowns on a lot of these encampments. I've heard word that there's people that want the police to come bust up this one in McGill. So far, I have not seen that happening. Crusader Kings, you're doing this very smooth brain leap where you correctly identify a lot of bad things Biden has done, and then you're suggesting that Trump is going to be some breath of fresh air, that he's going to be going to do peace deals in Israel and Palestine. No, he's not. No, he will not. Trump will support Israel just as much as Biden has, maybe even more. Trump walked away from the Iran peace deal and assassinated a Iranian general who was training militias in Iraq and elsewhere to fight ISIS. Yeah, I get it. Biden is really bad. And yes, Biden does have blood in his hands. And yes, Biden is fully responsible for everything bad going on right now that's happened under his watch. I agree. The idea that Trump is going to be better. I think you have just as bad or worse are your options. Iranian general that killed millions of people in the Middle East. Crusader Kings. So millions of people? Really? Millions of people. Do you have a source for that claim? Source for that claim? And again, this general, the people that he was, if you want to say he was killing people in the Middle East, you know who he was killing? ISIS. I thought we were against those guys. I thought we didn't like those guys. Iran-Iraq 10-year war. You know who to blame for that? Fucking American imperialism. They were arming and funding both sides of that conflict. You're talking about Qasem Soleimani. It's blame the United States government. They were arming and funding both sides of that conflict. They propped up Saddam Hussein and had him like build chemical weapons factories for their war. Meanwhile, simultaneously arming the Iranians at the exact same time. You know who was doing this? People that were in Trump's cabinet. The same people. Come on, sir. You got to be better. You got to get rid of this like partisan Democrat, Republican, blue team, red team brain poison. It's brain poison, sir. These people are not your friends. They're not your friends. They don't like you. They don't want anything to do with you. It's a big club, and you ain't in it, Crusader Kings. You've got to get out of this mindset. It's this childish blue team, red team mindset. You got to get out of it. There's one war that's going on right now, sir. The class war. And both Trump and Biden are on the other side of it. We're on the one side and they're on the other side. You got to be better. I think there's an element. Okay, Crusader Kings, you know what? Do you want me to admit that Bill Clinton is bad? Okay, good. Bill Clinton is bad. I agree. We're in agreement. Like, good job. You convinced me. I think you just fucking convinced me. And Nick, I kind of agree. Like, I think there is a, like, similar to the whole, like, Nixon in China, like, only Nixon could have gone to China thing. It's possible that Trump might be able to, like, end this conflict in a way that, like, a Democrat true believer like Joe Biden cannot. But the thing is, Trump surrounds himself with hardcore Zionists, so I don't really even believe that that's going to happen. Trump's right now carrying on from the sidelines and encouraging these encampments to be busted up by the police. You know, Trump did everything that Israel wanted the whole time he was the president. So, like, I do kind of get the logic of, like, maybe Trump is the one that could actually do something where Democrats can't. I don't even think that's going to happen, though. Like, both parties, the leadership, even the maverick wannabe pseudo leaders, they're all fully in the tank for Israel. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, Nick. Again, I do think that there's something to that. Again, similar to the only Nixon could go to China thing. There's even a chance that Netanyahu and Israel could pull back once Trump is in power and then give Trump the win, because they don't like Democrats or Biden, and they want Trump and they want the Republicans to be back in power. So there's a full chance that Netanyahu could be like, oh, now that Trump's in power, now we're going to pull back on this, just to give Trump that kind of win. That's entirely possible as well. Or if I can eat soup, this tantalizing soup. This tantalizing soup that's been sitting here, this tantalizing ramen. We're way beyond them pulling back. Well, I agree. I agree with that. Hello, Super. How's it going? Rob, not holding back, not even any chit chat. I might have to pull back a little bit. I've got to eat my ramen. I got to do a little chit chat. Honestly, I'm not feeling very well. I had kind of a rough night. I'm not going to lie. I had a rough night. I didn't sleep a lot. I've been in bed all day. I got out of bed I got up in the morning. I brought my kid to school. After I got back from that, I was right back in bed. And I was in bed until about 45 minutes ago. It was a rough night. I don't know. Crusader Kings, what the fuck are you talking about? What like Trump.org, like the Donald message boards are you reading where you're getting this information? Like, yes, the stuff happened under Democrats, allows Russia to go into Ukraine. First of all, Trump, when he was president, was arming and funding Ukraine the entire time, which helped contribute to the provoking that invasion in the first place. Trump ended the Iran peace deal. Trump went to North Korea, which I support, as I'm a supporter of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. As many of you know. But what did that do? He didn't actually have peace. He didn't end the Korean War. Nothing actually happened. Trump was bombing Afghanistan, dropped the mother of all bombs, bombing Syria, assassinating. And at the same time, Crusader King's like, come on, sir. At the same time, you're like, no new wars. And then I say, Trump tried to start a war with Iran. He assassinated this like Iranian general. And you're like, well, he killed millions of people. So which is it? Were there no new wars? Or did Trump just come in and just start making these big peace deals everywhere? Which is it? And again, like I said, fully supported Israel the entire time that he was in office. More than any other president. Which Trump openly bragged about. Crusader Kings, come on, sir. Does he want you to defend Brandon? I don't know, maybe, because like when people get like this, they have, like I said, they have these partisan brain rot. Their brains are broken by this team sport, totally fake liberal democracy bullshit. And you think this man thinks that Donald Trump is like his friend, or he's on his side, or he supports peace, or he's going against the deep state. None of that happened. None of that is true. Trump was president 4 years. What did he do to the deep state? He didn't do shit. He did not do shit. You can point to whoever started this shit. Trump continued it all. What are you talking about, sir? And all this shit, it wasn't even Obama that started it, but it was going back decades and decades for both Republican and Democrat presidents. Yeah, it was Obama, and then it was Bush, and then it was Clinton, and then it was other Bush, and then it was Reagan, and then it was Carter, and then it was Ford, and then it was Nixon. Like, yeah, we get it. This is the whole point. You think Trump's any better? And tried to do an attempted coup in Venezuela and appointed a absolute psycho, murderous scumbag, Elliot Abrams, who is responsible for covering up brutal genocides in Latin America, made this guy the point man. The dyed in the wool neocon, Elliot Abrams. Trump put him right in charge of the Venezuela shit. Come on, man. Best thing you can say about Trump is that he wasn't competent enough to launch a successful coup there. That's the one thing you can hold on to. If the Democrats had been in charge, they would have done the whole like human rights thing. They would have appointed some kind of like Samantha Power kind of like human rights industrial complex girl boss to run the Venezuela thing, and now it would have been all like that. But we got to liberate the women and oppressed, marginalized groups are struggling. Trump will win in a landslide. Well, that may be, Crusader Kings, but you know what's not going to happen? Your life's not going to get any better. You might be right. Maybe Trump will win in a landslide. Biden's doing everything to ensure that that happens. Maybe he will. And your life is going to be just as shitty as it was before. And none of the problems in our society, whether you're talking about America or wherever else, are going to get fixed. And guess what? He's going to funnel money to the wealthiest people in the world, and he's going to take it away from you. Spoiler alert. Oh, Crusader Kings, I'm sure you're so concerned about women's sports. The women's sports defender. Crusader Kings, there's nothing this man is more passionate about than women's sports and protecting the sanctity of women's sports. Goodbye, sir. Maybe try and have a think about some of this stuff and stop being a dipshit. I'm willing, like, honestly, I'm willing to entertain this kind of stuff, and we can have a conversation about this. And still you start just, like, bringing out just, like, the bigotry and just, like, being a hateful dipshit. Blurp Blurp, thanks for the $10.
Trans rights.
Thank you so much, Blurp Blurp. Nice. Kind of ramen are you eating? The Shin ramen, dumpling, kimchi, and with some cilantro. You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Almost 2 years. Wow. I'm a dumpling. Risk inverse. Thanks for the 35 months of tier 1. That's actually more than, I don't know if you need to go back to counting school. But that's actually almost 3 years, which is going to entitle to you in 1 month's time to the beautiful, prestigious Pearl sub badge. Kimchi fries. What's that? Take on Goonergate? I'm sure I should have a take on it, but I'm not sure I'm familiar with what that is. Dan Hathaway involved? That's the big question we should be asking. kimchi, French fries, cilantro, and they threw something else in there. That must be really good, actually. I'm just gonna get a little napkin here. One sec. I would always get them from Bad Meat Boys in Toronto. That sounds fantastic. I made kimchi poutine at home a few times. Simple brown gravy, kimchi juice, chopped kimchi, chopped Spam cubes. Local cheese person does curds. That sounds very interesting. That sounds very different and interesting. I would love to try that. Oh, I'm not familiar at all, St. Lotus, with Stellar Blade or any of that discourse. I know you do energy drink stuff. Have you ever considered adding some yerba mates or kombucha to the rotation? I haven't strongly considered it. I have not strongly considered it. I'll admit that. Don't look into the Stellar Blade stuff. I mean, I don't even know how to take a stance on that. Like, as you know, folks, like, normally I do stand with the gooning community. No? But that I don't want to have a blanket support. I certainly don't want a blanket support. It's a diverse community. It's a diverse community with all kinds of different factions. I don't want to offer up any big kind of blanket support for anything that I'm going to regret later. All comrades are gooners, but not all gooners are comrades. Like that's the thing. I may not agree with what you goon to, but I'll defend to the death your right to goon. Okay? However, I also think if that's what you're interested in, there's plenty of content and things that you can look at to get there, you know? I think when you start fixating on any specific game or property and you start getting involved in petitions or letter writing campaigns about some like video game girls and how scantily clad they are, I think you're wasting your time and your life. You know? You got to just move on from that. Just find something. There's plenty of things you can look at, you know, if that's really what you want to do. You got a lot of options. That's one thing, like a lot of things about our society have declined a lot. That's one area where like there's no shortage of options. You know what I mean? If that's what you're into. If that's what you're into. So if there's something about a video game that's bothering you or whatever, I would just move on. You know, just move on to something else. Like, you know, folks, like, players outraged at unexpected Stellar Blade outfit censorship. You see the before and the after here. Like, you know, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You don't need to be upset by that. There's so many things that you can and should be upset by, I think. They made it woke. The change.org petition. Multiple languages. Oh no.
Hello, my name is Michael, and I bought a PS5 because I wanted to play Stellar Blade. I was promised that this game would be no censorship, unedited, unraw, just a great, amazing, even a Game of the Year contender. I think that it's not fair and okay that Sony has decided to censor the game, especially right at the release date. I think that's false advertising. I think that's not fair to the developer shift up.
Like, sir, you just jack off to something else. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Imagine if that was your son. Imagine if that was your son, was like, that's what he was spending his time doing. Boy. I have a son. How can he be connected to Goonton? Ugh. That's yummy. Anyway, I don't think I need to weigh in on that any further, frankly. I can't as much as I try to support the Gooning community, I can't go there. I'm like Padme in Revenge of the Sith. You're going somewhere I can't follow. You know? Line Goon down. Good. I started reading For Whom the Bell Tolls based on your recommendation. Not bad so far. Cool. I'm glad that you're doing that. It's fantastic. I think the thing about For Whom the Bell Tolls is that it's all builds to the events of the final, like, 50 pages or so. And it's a journey to get there. Everything takes place over the span of, like, a couple days. And you live with these characters. You live with them, and you struggle with them, and everything's building up to the final events of the book, which are just once you finally get there, you've been on a real journey. Can't wait to get to the end. Find out who the bell's been tolling for. Yeah, spoiler alert: it does toll for thee. I don't know if I should be giving that away, but. For Goon the bell tolls. There. Did you thank the crew for building you a McGill campus replica in the garden at Langley? That was all green screen. Just one sec while you watch me awkwardly try and get all the last vestiges of this. Oh, that was tremendous. It's really good to melt that cheese in there. Mixes with this spicy broth and gives it this creaminess. Really, really good. What kind of cheese? Just like American slice of American cheese in there. Thank you, Catalepsy Kills. We got some good merch. Got some good merch on this channel. Is it called Canadian cheese in Canada? No, it's not. It would just be, I would just call it a craft single usually. Although, and maybe someone that knows more about this can like explain the difference, but I don't think craft singles and American cheese are the same thing. They're similar. They're similar, but I don't think they're the same thing. Am I crazy about that? Craft singles have like 10% sawdust. Well, it's good for your immune system. "64 slices of American cheese." Niall Red did a whole video about that. I don't know if I can do a 20-minute American cheese video now, but I'm going to throw that in my watch list.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Dan, hello. Thank you for the raid, Dan Simpson. I appreciate it. How was the Dan Simpson stream today? I hope it was good. Welcome. Bring it in here. It's me, Rob. Covered all the university intifada stuff. Cool. Have you made it down to an encampment, Dan? I think you're in Chicago, right? I made it to the one yesterday in Montreal, and it was really cool. I really encourage people to go and check them out if there's one in your city, whether you go to the school or not. You know, they need people there. They need bodies taking up space. In Minneapolis now. Oh, well, excuse me, Dan, for not being totally caught up on all the life details of precious little Dan Simpson. I'm sorry. That's so mean. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that was about. I apologize. He fled Chicago. That's right. With tail between his legs. No, it's okay. Okay. No, I'll show you, let me see, okay, I'll show you some of the pictures I took yesterday. I'm closer to Canada now. For sure, Minneapolis is basically Canada. Like, it's basically Canada. More or less. What am I looking for? God, I'm out of it. Out of it. Like I said, I really did not sleep that much. We have been looking for a new Rob. That's not true. That's not true. Sean's just joking around. John's just joking. You Rob. In Chicago, the cops roll up to get out of the car and beat your ass. In woke-ass Minneapolis, they shoot you for moving vehicles. Get it right. Get it right, lib. I'm really out of it. I'm really trying to do this here. A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of footage to look at. Really did not sleep well last night. Brain feels pretty bad right now, honestly. My brain is not doing good at this moment. I do remember Acorn Cop. Yes, that was very recently. In fact, I think I need to take some Advil. If you don't mind, folks, just give me 1 second. Just talk to the chair for a sec. I need to get some Advil and some water. I think that's going to fix me up. Oh, jeez. It was really dark. Just 1 sec here. That was just not good for me. That's gonna be way too bright. Fuck it. We're good. I do if I had the limitless pills. I don't know if I've ever seen that movie. I'm not sure what I would do. I would probably simply just start. I would probably simply just start posting TikToks and YouTube videos of this stream on a daily basis rather than like a multi-weekly basis is the way I've been doing it now. That's probably all I would do. Stepping back like a Murray buzzer beater. Gosh, Jamal Murray last night. That guy's really something else. Didn't even play that great in this series against the Lakers. But down the stretch when it matters. In game 2, won them game 2, and last night was just unbelievable. Like Jamal Murray's run with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter to the end of the game. He dunked in LeBron's face. He went back and the next time down the court, got another layup. Missed a jumper, offensive rebound, Aaron Gordon, 3 for Jamal Murray. And then hits the game-winning jumper in Austin Reeves' face. in like 8 minutes. Who do we like to win the finals? I don't know, Nick. Like, I think like the Nuggets are a pretty safe bet, but like I don't know what's going to happen in this Nuggets T-Wolves series. No one expect. I don't know. A lot of people didn't expect the T-Wolves to beat the Suns, let alone absolutely demolish them. And like the T-Wolves are really good. And they're going to, it's not like Denver might win that series, but it's not going to be this like simple process. Anthony Edwards is crazy too. Like you can tell Anthony Edwards has that like psycho gene that like the greatest athletes have, where he just wants to destroy everybody. Cat is injured now? Is he really? In game 4 he looked great. Mavs rising. I really want the Mavs to beat the Clippers. I hope you're right. Yeah, he does have the Michael Jordan psychopath vibe. Whoever wins Nuggets versus Wolves is the champion. Yeah, no matter how good the Celtics were this year, I do not believe they're going to win the title. Leafs funeral tonight. I feel sorry for all the poor bastards that talk themselves into the Leafs every single year. Oh, we're playing the Bruins. We're playing the Bruins in the first round of the playoffs again. Well, yeah, this time it's going to be different. This time it's going to be different. No, I'm sorry. It will not be different. It will not. It's not going to be different. It will be the same. Surely this time I won't be rewarded for all my faith and confidence and time and energy I've invested. I will not be rewarded by another punch to the stomach from this franchise that I love and I'm so passionate about. Surely this time I will be rewarded for my loyalty over the years and decades. You know what I mean? It's like, you poor son of a bitch. I'm a gambler. I simply bet on the thing that happens 100% of the time every year. I mean, it's easy money. I'm a Jets fan. It doesn't feel any better, like for the NFL, but haven't the Jets won the title in like living memory? Like not recently, but still like there was still like color TV, like when it did happen though, you know? Oh, Winnipeg. Okay. That's not great. But not the same legacy of failure, though, I would say, especially just over the last 20 years. Anyway, that was an awesome game. I'm really looking forward to that Nuggets-Wolves series. I think that's going to be phenomenal. My stream was, again, not really working. My totally legal NBA stream that I pay for was not really working last night, so I don't know who I have to take it up with. Fix that. Jets moving and coming back gives me hope for the Expos. I would love for the Expos. Like, I don't even love baseball, but I think if the Expos played here again, I would be more willing to get into it. Like, I don't love the sport of baseball. There's things that I like about it, and like, but I don't really watch it. But I would love, though, to like in the summer go to the ballpark and have an ice cold beer and a hot dog and watch the game. I think that would be lovely. That just seems like a really fun and cool activity. Baseball is the golf of jocks. Fuck, speaking of golf, that's one thing. I don't understand why. Like, maybe it's just because of my age. Possibly just because I'm like over 40. But for some reason, TikTok really wants me to be into golf. Like, I have never watched golf. I've never played golf. I don't really think about or care about golf. And TikTok's like, do you want more golf content, sir? 40-year-old white male? Surely you want golf content. And I ended up just watching it anyways because I'm just like, all right, fine, TikTok. I'm putting you in charge of my entertainment and my brain patterns. But there's this one guy that I keep getting his content on TikTok. And it's this guy that he's doing this challenge. And he's like, I'm playing golf every single day until I get 18 pars in a row. And it's on day like 74 of this challenge. And he's never gotten more than 4 pars. Not in the 73, 74 days. And that was early. That was like in the early stages. And every day I get served the next video in this series. And I watch it, right? I watch it every day. Angry. I actually hate this guy. I'm like, you suck at golf. You can't play. You're never going to do this. I like actually get mad. Every single day that this video pops up, I look at the bottom like, scroll bar to see how fast it's going. And usually you can tell it's going fast. So it's like, you didn't even make one part today, did you? You didn't even make one goddamn part. You think you're going to make 18? You think you're going to make 18 pars in a row. You can't even make one. And I sit there and I just get angry. I'm just angry at this guy. I imagine it will be stressful if he gets up to 17. I think you're old. Well, I still have no interest in playing golf. I mean, it seems kind of fun, but just way too
Welcome to
annoying to get into. And expensive. It's bad for the environment. I have been seeing a lot of that's one thing about like TikTok and sports that I really like though. Because you see the fans that like record themselves, all the Lakers fans recording themselves watching the end of the game. I can't get enough of that. I watch all of that. You get the pain. You really see the pain. And like when your team is not really playing or is not part of this, like not part of the playoffs and there's no stakes, that's all you really have as a sports fan.
Just kind of count like on vicariously good old Rob
enjoying
to
the
talk you
pain
through all this.
Of other fandoms.
Long time no see. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Envy, thank you very much for the 19 months of Tier 1. I appreciate it. Absolutely. So I've been watching a lot of that. Where's this fucking guy? I'm sure if I scroll, I'm going to see this goddamn golf guy. I can show it to you. Where are you, son of a bitch? Don't mind me, I'm just scrolling. The TikTok like web interface is really not good. Today's video just hasn't come out yet. Oh, here you go, buddy.
Every single day until I make 18 pars in a row. I'm still at 12.8 handicap.
Cold, crispy morning. Let's get some pars.
Let's go. I can't see anything.
Look how
yet.
fast it's going.
No idea where that's gone. Look on the fairway.
This
Great
guy
tee shot,
maybe
Tim.
gets 2
Bummer we
pars.
couldn't see that.
Yeah.
But oh,
That's a birdie
that
chance.
is so good.
What was that?
Yes, and we're off. Did you aim to the right on purpose?
I didn't want to miss left.
Yes.
That is good. By the way, John Terry, we saw your comment a couple of days ago. We want to get you out here. We want to get you on the challenge.
The guest record's still 1, so let's go see how many pars you can get. Nice, babe. Go over that bunker. Yeah.
It's like a handbrake.
You might actually make this one.
Yes, and we're off.
I almost missed
2.
left.
Little aggressive draw.
Yep, but we do know it's fine there.
What was that?
Okay, we're gonna keep playing on another fairway.
We'll keep playing this side, eh? Almost a bit big, huh?
Potentially big.
Go in. Go in. Go in. Oh!
Okay, guys, that's all we can fit in one video.
Okay, the one time I show this to you, then he's doing good. The one time I show this to the chat, it's one of the ones where he does a good job. So completely invalidating everything that I was saying. I'm just seething. As this guy gets 3 pars. This man will never get 18 pars in a row. Never. It's never going to happen. Fun fact, golf was banned in 16th century Scotland because for reasons of national security it was distracting men of the realm from their archery practice. Interesting. This is why you keep getting golf content. Well, that's what I mean. I can't stop watching it, even though I've never had any interest in golf. But sometimes I'm just like a slave to the algorithm like that. And like I said, I'm pulled into this fucking guy's journey. I'm pulled into this goddamn challenge where this guy wants to make 18 pars in a row. It's been 81 days. And he has yet to make more than 4. There's so many where he's like on the first hole of the game, got right close to the hole, and then missed easy putts to get the par, like multiple times. And every time I'm watching it, I'm just like, you piece of shit. What are you doing? You can't play golf. What is this? I could do this. I don't know. But then I can still keep watching it, so you figure it out. My dad would watch golf and fall asleep immediately. That's a very dad-coded thing to do. I was going to end up golfing just to compete with this jerk. Why Rob is so tired of staying up all night watching golf videos. You know what my algorithm has really been giving me a lot of though lately? Are these like male motivation mindset kind of
Suddenly you realize you'll never have
videos. I don't know why it thinks I need that. I actually do know why, but I'm too embarrassed to admit why it is. But I'm getting a lot of these like this like right-wing pipeline, like male motivation type stuff. That inevitably just bring people down this path of like reaction. I'm getting a lot of this kind of stuff. These guys.
Watching you, big dog. They're watching you. And guess what? Each and every one of those motherfuckers are waiting.
No,
they're waiting for you to drop the ball. They're waiting for you to come up short. They're waiting For them to be able to say, we were right.
Jesus.
For them to be able to... They're watching you, big dog. They're watching you. And guess what? Each and every one of those motherfuckers are waiting. They're waiting for you to drop the ball. They're waiting for you to come up short. They're waiting for them to be able to say, we were right. He doesn't have him in him. He doesn't have the dog in him. This is up to you. This one shot, this one opportunity. You're going to be tested, big dog. But if the world doesn't believe in you, just know I fucking do. And you're going to go out there and absolutely kill it. Every goal you have, you're smashing. This is our year. Let's go out and get it. It's time to level up. Let's go.
Weak people hate strong minds.
There's this guy too. I keep getting this fucking guy who's this like, I do kind of like how that guy refers to the viewer as big dog. I got to admit that I kind of like that. There's this guy though. God, fuck, I can't remember what his name is, but he's this like former Navy SEAL guy that's like this long distance runner, and he's always talking about this. You got to push, keep pushing. You think I like this? You think I run 800 miles, multiple days, no sleep, and I'm miserable. I'm miserable. I hate every moment of it. And I'm kind of watching it just like, why are you doing it then? Like, why does that give you the ability to like tell me how to live? Because you run for like 800 miles. I don't care. Why are you doing that? I didn't tell you to do that. Who told you to? Who told you to run 800 miles? Not me. You know what I mean? I'm like, why does this give you the ability to like lecture me about stuff? I'm in pain all the time. I'm miserable. And I take the thing that makes me miserable and it makes me love it. And I'm watching it going like, I don't feel like you do love it. You know what I mean? I do things constantly that make me miserable. That's why I'm the authority on how to live your life. I can't remember what this guy's name is, but I've been seeing this guy like so much.
Infestation of weak people in this fucking world.
He says fuck a lot, and that's how it gives him credibility.
To speak what you believe in. Speak your thoughts. Speak your truth. What happens is the goal of weak people is to silence you. So what they do to you is to isolate you. The more they isolate you, the more you want to put a fucking damn, you want to sew up your mouth right in the middle. You start speaking out both sides.
They don't all have this song. This like Sweet Dreams guitar thing is very popular. A lot of the time it's dissonant synth music as well though. There's a lot of dissonant synth music with this kind of like motivational kind of stuff. Citations needed an episode on this guy. Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I should read that or listen to it. Excuse me. I've been getting so much of this guy's content. Like, no, and I'm not going to sign up for any alpha male boot camps or anything like that. Like, I kind of watch it out of a kind of morbid curiosity. There's a few of the guys that I like. A few of them I actually kind of like. But I think it like... you don't have to explain it. It's definitely very fascism coded. Definitely. But I think it's actually led me to think about this kind of stuff a little bit. And like, I think in a way there's like a generation of men especially that like do need someone to like help them. And people are like lost. People are struggling. And this is the problem that I think that's that alienation. That's like a really real phenomenon, and the loneliness. Like this is all real phenomenons. But then you have these people that like prey on those types. They prey on them. And they take that loneliness and alienation and isolation and depression and whatever.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I need help, but not from this guy.
Yeah, that's kind of my stance as well, Red Wizard. Thanks for the 31 months. People like this prey on those folks that are going through something very real. This is a very real phenomenon that I don't think we talk about probably enough, because I think it gets automatically associated with these kind of right-wing grifters. But I do think it's a problem because we kind of allow these people to kind of speak to those audiences and channel all that energy and all that angst and alienation and sadness and channel it into these like reactionary directions. It's all rooted in chauvinism, for sure. Yeah, for sure. just privatizing the stupid bullshit that boot camp does to people. Last year, that Goggins guy ran a training camp for a UFC fighter that got absolutely destroyed in the fight, and everyone saw it coming during the training camp. Yeah, it's not surprising. And I just think it's funny to be like, I run a really long way. Now I'm going to tell you how to like be a better person. Like, yeah, good job. Good job. No, but people are really lonely. And, oh, thanks, Nick. I'm going to save that. Figured out how to talk about this. Because, like, listen, if you're a white man, inherently, you are born with, like, a massive amount of privilege. And there's people that are in all these out groups and marginalized groups that go through life and they're victims of state violence. You know, they're at the lowest rung of the ladder. I guess we run into a problem when we tell people this idea that how privileged they are, and they are. I'm not trying to dispute that. But then like people are like, well, why does my life still suck though? Why am I lonely? Why am I depressed? Why do women not like me? And it reaches this disconnect, and then it leaves them vulnerable to people like this that come in and be like, oh, you know who has it? You know, there's the type of people that are like, you know who has it easy? The poor, people on welfare, women and LGBTQIA plus people or trans people specifically. They just got everything handed to them. Refugees. It opens the door for these kinds of like very cynical people to take this very real sense of like depression and loneliness and alienation that people are experiencing, and they aim it in this really terrible direction. I think many people need good old Rob to talk us through all this. It's like, I don't know if I'm volunteering myself to be that person. You know, I to a certain extent, I don't think there's a lot of like young men that watch this program. Maybe some of you are like youngish, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of a fuck up, honestly. I got my own problems. I don't think I'm like someone that's really in a position to be giving out advice to people about how they should be living their lives. I have my own issues, you know? I'm 8 years old and you saved me from the manosphere. I definitely think there's something there, though. You know what I mean? It's like, I think we do need to find ways to speak to young men. Not to put them on a pedestal or suggest that they have it worse than other people. I don't think that. But like really speak to the feelings of sadness and alienation and loneliness that people are experiencing, and channeling it into actually positive directions. Because there's this pipeline. You start getting videos like this that are just like basic like motivation type stuff, and you slowly get, if you get really into that, you get pulled down this pipeline, you know? Male role models are severely lacking. Yeah. Like I want to try and talk about this without diminishing the idea of like privilege or white male privilege or anything like that, or like suggesting that that doesn't exist, or that other people don't have it worse, you know? Right now, there are little kids fighting on college campuses for a cause I'm sure you all believe in. Of all colors, privileges, they need your bodies. Go check it out. I did yesterday. I went to the encampment in Montreal yesterday. I've been getting a lot of this guy, and like I can't help but kind of like this guy, honestly. Like I'm not getting pulled down the pipeline or the path or everything like that, but like I can't help but kind of enjoy this guy's content.
My life sucks. I can't seem to do anything right. I'm never gonna be successful. I'm never gonna amount to anything. I probably will never even get the body of my dreams and get in shape.
equals negative outcomes. Change your perspective. You're better than that. Let's go.
Oh, there's another one too. Okay.
My life sucks. I can't seem to do anything right. I'm never gonna be successful. I'm never gonna amount to anything.
That's what I just looked at.
My life sucks. I can't.
You know what? Never mind. I thought it was another one. It's not. But yeah, that's kind of what I was pointing out. Carrier wave, you said it a moment ago. I get that white men are for sure privileged, but I don't think countering real alienation and loneliness by simply pointing back to that privilege like I see online is helpful. No, and that just leaves those people ripe for being preyed upon by like the Jordan Petersons of the world. You know? I think we have to find a way to like have those kinds of conversations. Because you see a lot of these people being like, "No, I'm not okay. I'm not okay, but I'm a man, so who cares? No one gives a shit. No one cares." And the way that like men in particular are really not encouraged to talk about anything, and to just like, I know this is how I was socialized. It's not even my mom or my parents or anything. Like, my mom's wonderful. My mom is a wonderful mother, but there's just something about our society and our culture that encourages men to just like take everything and just swallow it down. Just swallow it down and pretend everything, to say, I'm fine. Everything's fine. And just to never talk about it and never address it and never feel it. Yeah, and like look at the exploding suicide rate. And then you have like, in addition, this younger generation is faced with this miserable future with the climate and everything's falling apart and their economic conditions are getting worse. They have no future really. And yeah, that's the thing that I don't think is really helpful, is when these people are like, when they do say like, I'm struggling, and the answer is just like, well, shut the fuck up. You have everything. You're privileged. You know what I mean? And then this alienates them even further, and they go running right into the arms of the Jordan Petersons of the world and all these like manosphere dipshits. You know? The red foreman, keep everything inside. Well, and listen, like again, it's me too. You know? I can't even point to anything about like my upbringing that I think made me act that way. But like, there was time, chat, for like a few years that I was like really struggling. I was not doing well. You know? I try to be cognizant of this as well, especially over the last like couple of years, 2020 to now. People went through some shit, and so did I. But like, there were years even prior to that where I was not doing well, and I just did not talk about it. I did not acknowledge it. I didn't acknowledge it to myself. I didn't acknowledge it to anyone else that I knew. And it's so unhealthy. Like, I really almost lost it. I think this is part of the reason I'm getting some of this kind of content now. Because, yeah, I went through some shit. So did everyone. I'm not special. I'm not a victim. I have responsibility for my own actions as well. But there was really a time there where I was really, really struggling. And I just did not ever talk about it. For years, this went on. And I really did just do that classic male thing of just swallowing everything down and push it right to the pit of your stomach where it can't bother you anymore. You know? I spent years doing this. It's not good. Don't let anyone tell you that you have some responsibility for your feelings. It's the fault of wokeness. Well, this is what I mean. This is like, there's these like demagogues and terrible people that are seizing on this very, very real phenomenon and channeling that into like really terrible directions. Unfortunately, the bills from my therapist who's at a network are also not good, so it's a balancing game. I'm not in therapy right now, honestly. I probably would still be if it was an option for me, but I'm not currently in therapy anymore. There is some truth to the fact that regular exercise makes you feel better. At least it makes me feel better. There's no need to be screamed at about it. No, I don't think so either. Maybe in a positive way. I think that guy's a little bit more positive, but no being like, that's the weakness. The pain is the weakness leaving your body and this kind of stuff. That's very fascism coded. Make your pet every day. Also, transgender cultural Marxists are the root of all your problems. Well, that's the thing. And there's a germ of an idea there. Not the second part, but the first part. I know that's helpful for me. It's helpful for me to try and maintain some kind of like a living space that you don't feel like, that you feel comfortable in. Fascism kind of relies on the idea that someone or something must be sacrificed. Hero sum. Yeah, no, a lot of that stuff is very, very fascist coded. The one clip you shared literally said weak people are infesting. Infestation of weak people. For sure, that's extremely Hitler coded. I'm not joking. The book, We've Had 100 Years of Psychotherapy in the World, is getting worse. Changed my life, and even though there's 1 in 100 chance you read it, I highly suggest it. I will try to remember that, Dr. Maggot. But yeah, it's hard though. It's hard, man. And I'm like, to be honest, I'm going through some stuff right now. And that's the reason, like, I had a hard time sleeping last night. That's the reason I'm feeling like shit today. Does it help to be screamed at by veiny men? Sometimes it does a little. You know? Hard times, daddy. True. I don't know. I guess, like, whatever's happening now definitely feels like the volume is turned down compared to some other shit that's happened in my life over the last couple of years. But it's tough, man. It's tough out there. I guess that's my point, though, is that I think that there's a very real sense of like alienation and loneliness. And I think we have this temptation to make fun of that. The male loneliness epidemic and this kind of stuff. There's this temptation, and I totally get where the temptation comes from. To be like, what are you complaining about? But I think there's definitely a part of me that's like, feels like we do need to have an answer for especially young men that are looking around and being like, why is everything the way it is? You know, why do I feel this way? Rather than just being like, oh, fuck off. You know, I don't think that's really helpful. I wonder if there are any clips about Vijay Prashad talking about male loneliness. That was a really beautiful and thoughtful answer to my ridiculous question that I had, wasn't it?
You can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing shitty.
But then they start talking about transphobia and immigrants running the country. What do then? There's so much indoctrination that these lonely males already have pre-programmed that breaking through it is emotionally and mentally exhausting. Yeah, and I agree, Joe. I think what I'm saying is like we have to try and reach out to people before they get pulled down that path. Because I think once people start adopting that mindset, it's really hard to break them out of it and almost useless to even try. I think people just react to the unnecessary male part when all kinds of people feel lonely and alienated and hopeless these days. Yeah, I think that's part of it too, Diego, and it's a way to like kind of pit people against each other. I would love to have a straight up Leninist chat who was principled and a sweetite. Anyway, I don't know. There's part of me that wants to talk more on here about like my personal issues and stuff like that, but then there's a part of me that's just like, just shut up. Just shut up. You got to keep some things to yourself. But I'm going to need you, chat. I'm going to need you over the next couple months. All right? This is mutually reinforcing, okay? I know we joke around about the triangle and who's on top of the triangle and who's not and everything. Good old Rob going to talk you through all this and this kind of shit. I need you folks, though. I need you with me here over the next couple months. I got shit that I got to get through over the next couple months. That is not going to be easy. The next year, pretty much. It's not going to be easy. And it's going to take some mental fortitude on my part to get to where I need to be.
Okay, Rob. Seriously, wow.
Diego, thank you very much for the 10 gifted subs. That's really kind of you. I really wasn't trying to subliminally get people to give subs there. That's not what I was referring to. I will take it. I do need to make income from this channel. I'll take it. That's really not what I was trying to do, though. But Diego, I love you and thank you. I think like I think the scariest thing that I think about like the last couple of years is I think about those points that I got to. I don't know if anyone can relate to this. I think about those points that I got to where I was close to quitting. You know, we don't need to get into the details of like how close, but like there was really a part of me that was just like, I fucking can't. I cannot do this. I can't do this anymore. You know, I was really feeling that. And I think that's kind of the scariest thing about thinking back on those moments, you know, how close I was to the brink at some points there.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
If Rob have 10 fans, I am one of them. If Rob have 1 fan, it's me. If Rob has 0 fans, then I must not be on this earth anymore.
Joe, thank you very much for the 200 bits. I really appreciate it, Joe. Thank you. I'm really not trying to subliminally mindfuck anybody to supporting the channel. I guess I just got shit going on right now, and it's kind of weighing heavily on me, so it's hard for me to just go on. Because, like, for me, like, I've been doing this show now 4 years, and folks, there was times during this show where it's like I show up and I'm me, and it's like we're having fun on here, we're joking around, we're doing all, you know, we're having a great time. And like there was shit going on that I was like on the verge of completely losing it. You know? So I guess that's the thing. It's like if that's what's going on, I should, at least if I'm not going to talk specifically about details about that kind of thing, I can be honest about the fact that like it's hard. Things are hard. I got a little bit emotional there when I was talking about being close to quitting. But I guess that's the thing. Like that's for the next, going into the next year and you know, beyond. That's what I tell myself. Like it's really just on me. It's on me to make it work. I can quit and I can just be like, I can't do this shit anymore. Or I can keep putting one foot in front of the other and just like keep pushing, keep grinding. This is where the mindset people are getting me. This is why TikTok is giving me these mindset videos, because like ultimately that there is something to that you have to have this like attitude, no matter what it is you're going through. You got to just keep going, keep getting through every day. You know. We really should invent a Leninist mindset video guide. That's the thing. If we can take some of that alienation and that things that people are going through and channel it into the immortal science of Marxism, Leninism, then we might have something. Anyway, sorry for getting too deep here, chat. You know. Maoist one-liners are basically Leninist grind set. That's true, yeah. I'm sorry for getting too deep on this stuff. I swear, like, the TikTok algorithm, like, tells that, like, I have certain shit going on. And it's probably because my phone is listening to me. And then starts giving me this kind of shit, and it makes me very reflective. So, about like an hour ago, I was planning on showing you some videos and pictures of my day yesterday. So maybe now we can get into that, now that I've talked about my skill of male mindset mentality stuff. Rob, you should try donating some subs to Rob Your So channel on Twitch. It's a very rewarding experience and not a cult. And then he acknowledges you. He acknowledges you, and it gives you a little hit. Gives you a little brain chemical hit. Beautiful. I wonder if the Dems will lit up on any of this before their convention. It doesn't seem like it. Why then, you know? If they haven't done it now, I don't understand what's gonna push them. Missed the first hour. Did you have a nice sandwich today? I hope you did. I actually had a ramen, but it was very good. Thank you for asking. Man, that period of 2020 to 2024 was really just fucked up, wasn't it? And me, I would say the couple of years before that, prior to that as well, but it really kicked into high gear at that time. I really try to be cognizant of that as well, you know? Yeah, I went through shit, but I feel like everyone did. And you know what, chat? We're on the other side of it. We're still here. We're still here. We're still standing. We're still standing. With the steady hand of Jim Brandon, things are really looking up. That's exactly right. Anyway, here's some of the... So as you know, yesterday, I did do my very first ever IRL stream, which I would like to do more of, but I have to figure out the data issue because it's very data intensive. I think I used 4 gigs of data just in like an hour of streaming yesterday. But it was really cool, and I was glad that people liked it. I went down to the encampment. Yeah, I was live yesterday for a little bit, only like an hour. I went down to the encampment at McGill campus. I took some pictures. I talked to some folks. And it was really cool. Really, I really encourage people to go to, if there's an encampment in your city, go down. Go down and check it out. Like, not only do they need you there, whether you go to the school or not, they need you there. They need your bodies. They need people taking up space, but it will be good for you. It's a nice dose of hope and optimism amidst the like absolute nonstop horror that we've been witnessing. You support decolonization as an abstract academic theory or as a tangible event? Can I talk to this fine gentleman as well?
Demand from our university to divest. So we are here to demand from our university to divest the at least $20 million that they send to companies that are complicit in the genocide and occupation of the Palestinian people. This includes companies that are weapons manufacturers. This includes companies that are construction contractors for for the Israeli occupation, and we are demanding that our university does that. We voted a referendum with 80% of the student body voting for divestment, for the policy against genocide in Palestine, and boycotting all Israeli institutions from our university. We voted on it. We got it passed. However, the policy was not ratified due to the administration getting involved and also outside organizations getting involved. And so we are here to say that we have voted democratically, and we are here and we're not leaving until complete divestment, because that is the will of the students, that is the democratic will of the students, and we're not going anywhere until that happens.
Have you seen, some of the messages on refugee tents?
Probably could have gotten myself in the shot a little bit better.
Protests in Yemen and messages of solidarity with the students here in the West, in the United States, in this encampment here. How does that make you feel from the people that are in the encampment today to see the way that this kind of like worldwide student movement is starting to connect with people in the region and in the West and kind of forge these kind of bonds?
So obviously it's very empowering to see. We've been, for the last 7 months, we've been organizing, we've been mobilizing. But it is very empowering to see that the movement being across the U.S. and across Turtle Island and across the world, because they even started encampments in Paris, they've done it in Australia and so on. It's very empowering. It's very good to see, especially when it comes from Gaza itself. We know that we're being heard there, but we're not doing enough. I just want to remind that we are doing here this first for solidarity with Gaza, and then second with solidarity with the student movement, the broader student movement. This is how a lot of social movements have started, and this is how the fire gets started, and the revolution is here, and it is now. So we are here to demand from our university to divest.
Was that last part the revolution?
This is how a lot of social movements have started, and this is how the fire gets started, and the revolution is here, and it is now. So we are here.
This is how the fire gets started. The revolution is here, and it's now. I like that. I like that. Very cool. I was really happy that I was able to go do that. I don't know if there's an encampment at OU, but the cops down there used to be the coolest in the metro. Now they're awful. A city councilwoman spoke in favor of defunding. They literally doxed and raped her. Christ. Because it's not surprising. Cops, but that's absolutely horrifying, Lodane. Horrifying. That wasn't for me to read. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to read it or not. Okay. What can we look at here? Crazy images of the police roughing up these encampments. The people, the like wannabe provocateurs as well. That's been quite funny. This person just loses their mind because no one wants to talk to them. And like credit to these students, but there's all these provocateurs showing up to these events, trying to just get a quote from someone, trying to get them to misspeak or say one thing that they can use.
and just they're getting completely stonewalled. And like that's really impressive, like discipline and like basic kind of media training, right? Just not talking to these pieces of shit, just not talking, just completely stonewalling them. And this, you can see how they freak out. They start to freak out.
We've been seeing all over the news all the craziness that's happening on college campuses, especially at UCLA. So I decided to come here for myself. Do you mind if I interview?
I'm not going to talk to media.
Excuse me, do you guys want to tell me what's going on here?
No, sorry. I'm not letting any media in. You can, just so you know.
Okay, we were just standing outside, just trying to. Are we allowed to ask you guys a few questions about it? A lot of us just don't feel comfortable.
I can direct you to media liaison.
We're not gonna interview with you today. Not gonna engage with people that are gonna be pushing us.
Never
There's
seen
no
anything
point.
like this in my life.
Why talk to them?
No, agitators aren't allowed.
They're not there to be
They won't
convinced.
speak to me. No one will speak to me.
There's a desk over there with media
I've
liaisons.
spoken to them. They won't speak to me.
Well, then you can try again.
Well, then go
I've
away.
tried, and this lady specifically is telling me I'm an agitator.
Don't engage with agitators.
She's
Just trying to
clearly an
understand
agitator.
you're
Look what she's
protesting.
doing.
For some reason, no one from your guys' team will let you guys speak, and I don't know why you guys can't speak to me. And like, this is so intimidating and scary for you guys to be standing here. I literally have walked around.
I haven't actually watched this. I just saw descriptions of it. It's so scary. You're standing there. They're editing them like they're like zombies or something. That's so good.
For the past 2 hours, just asking peaceful questions like, what's going on here today?
Like, and then
Why
she
are
puts
you
out
guys
this
here?
video.
And no
Clearly
one
they
can
were
speak to me.
absolutely right
And you
not
guys
to
are
talk to
laughing.
me.
I don't understand how this is funny. I genuinely wanted to learn from you, and I
No,
wish
you
we
did
could have
not.
ended in a hug.
You
That's
fucking
actually what I
liar.
hoped from this. That's my dream from all of this, that we could understand each other.
We don't need to understand her, people like her. Like we know what the people that support Israel think. We know what they think. We know what they want. We don't need to understand each other. We understand. We get it. We get it. We know exactly what they want. There's no shortage of information out there about what supporters of Israel think and want. Our whole culture and society is dominated by people that have the same beliefs. I love the discipline. I really do. Here you got James Carville, multi-millionaire political consultant married to a powerful conservative woman.
Are you kidding me? Is this the United States of America? Is this the nation that was founded on the principle that no person is above the law? And then you tell these young people, if you don't get involved right now in this election, they're going to be involved in your life for the rest of your freaking life. And if Trump and Roberts and Alito,
then stop acting in ways that are ensuring that he's going to win.
Thomas,
Talk to your friend Joe Biden,
Leonard
sir.
Leo and the Heritage Foundation.
Go talk
If
to your
they
friend
get a
Joe
hold,
Biden.
There will be no government left. There will be no rights left. You'll live under theocracy. You'll end up with Christian nationalism. But that's all right, you little fucking 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important to me. They're not addressing the issues. That
Again, this man's married to a Republican. This guy's married to like a Republican consultant. That's how much he actually cares. Oh, we're not going to have any rights left. I mean, people that are seriously like under Trump, you're not even going to be allowed to protest anymore. Meanwhile, under Biden, you have cops in multiple different states going into these peaceful tent encampments and beating the shit out of students. Oh, you're not even going to be allowed to protest. We're currently not allowed to. That's what's happening right now at this very moment. They're not addressing the issues I care about. Yeah, correct. Maybe you should start addressing them and maybe these people will listen to you. He starts by accusing protesters of thinking they're above the law. Well, I think risk inverse, he might have been talking about the orange man because Trump's such a dangerous threat. He's such a dangerous threat to democracy. Look at this man. He's under trial. How can you possibly let this man win? Talk to your boy. Maybe you should address issues that people care about. Maybe that would help. rather than pulling this fucking act where you start browbeating and insulting everybody.
I care about. Well, the New York Times wrote a story about the Harvard Youth Poll, which is a pretty good, well-regarded thing, a guy named John Della Volpe. And very recently, they gave youngsters the 15 most important issues. Clocking in at number 14 was student debt. You wouldn't know that if you read the fucking press. Number 15 was the issue of Palestine. High on the list was abortion, was interest rates, was housing affordability, well, all of these other things. You are being insufficiently served by the commentariat, and to some extent, you're being insufficiently served through democratic messages. So my advice to tell these young people to get off your motherfucking ass and go vote, because you should vote like your entire future and the entire future of this United States depends on it, because quite frankly, it does. And that's not an exaggeration.
Until the next election. Then that's also going to be, democracy is going to be on the line. I know, it's really amazing. Really amazing. And anyway, I think just this like fear mongering about having your rights taken away is really interesting at this exact moment when jackbooted thugs under the Joe Brandon administration are busting up these peaceful protests. Militarized cops also attacked protesters during the Obama administration as well. Jackbooted thugs. This armchair loser wants the students who have been physically assaulted to get off their asses and vote. And they do not hear the irony. It really is amazing, these fucking people. All these things like abortion rights being stripped away happened under Biden. This Israeli genocide going on, happening under Biden with Biden's full support. Just go vote. These fucking guys, I wish I loved anything in life as much as these people love voting. Like, we now have years and years of evidence about all these, the way that things that really matter are completely bipartisan, that cannot be changed whatsoever by voting for whoever. Just like, it's the converse side of the people that are like bending over backwards to defend like the squad or AOC or whatever. They're building power, you see. They're building power. Are they? Are they building power? Is that what's happening? And they're ready and they're going to flip the switch. As soon as the numbers are there, they're going to flip the switch and become revolutionary socialists. I don't think that is what's happening, actually. I may have been sympathetic to this idea, actually, even as recently as a couple years ago. I might have been sympathetic to this idea. They're building power. To do what exactly? I mean, they're there now, voting to like give Israel more weapons, voting to give Ukraine more weapons. That's how they're building power. That's what they're doing with the power that they've built so far. Like, I showed you the encampment yesterday at McGill. I know the vibes are similar at these other universities. These are very, very peaceful events of students sitting on the grass, reading, studying, doing teach-ins, speaking with one another, playing music, dancing. And like, look at you're not going to have any rights once the orange man is back in the office. By the way, this whole idea that like Donald Trump's going to like really usher in that full Christian theocratic authoritarianism, fascism government, and all your rights are going to be taken away. Well, why didn't he do that in 2016 to 2020? What's probably going to happen, again, as I outlined earlier in this stream, I'm not a big Donald Trump fan. What's going to happen is he's going to be staff of the White House with a bunch of other conservative dipshits, and they're going to do a bunch of pass a bunch of conservative policies of like tax cuts and deregulation and giving money to Israel and giving money to the police. The exact same fucking thing.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
This whole idea that Trump's going to like do away with whatever democracy they have left. I mean, maybe, but can you vote your way out of that? Oh, if we just vote enough, then we can prevent that from happening. Like, that's not how this shit works. What are they building power for? What are they building power for? Oh my. Oh my. But again, these encampments are incredibly peaceful, incredibly chill, and it's the cops going in there to bust up these protests and bust up these encampments that are the ones that are escalating them into tense, hostile situations where there are big confrontations between the students and the police. And people around the world are seeing this. People around the world are seeing this in China and elsewhere. Making cartoons of these students being arrested and stuff. Oh, you're not going to have any rights once the orange man is back in. You're not going to have any rights. You're not going to be allowed to protest. And these kids are brave.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through
these kids are really brave.
TRRS Sankara left FL1 free.
These kids are really brave. Dan KD, thanks for the 38 months. Like, this is not fun to go through. These kids are going through, like, are willingly putting their bodies on the line for these fucking fascist creeps. Oh, once the orange man is back in power, you're not going to have the ability to protest. You're not going to have rights. You're not going to have freedoms. Like, guess what? This is not convincing to anybody anymore. It's not.
What's going on now, and what do you guys think from your perspective?
With the primary victim.
This seems something really similar to last Wednesday, I believe it was, when there was a so-called occupation or reclaiming of our campus planned. I believe today they're going by the term Longhorn.
This woman's talking about herself like she's the victim of everything. There's students being arrested immediately behind her. And she's the victim.
Become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
And she's the victim. Perfect Speller, thanks for the 5 gifted subs. Very kind of you. And thanks Carrier Wave as well for the gifted subs. Sorry, I don't know if I said anything. Look,
registration
students right behind her. Immediately behind her. Fellow students being led away in handcuffs by jackbooted thugs. Going onto their campus to break up these peaceful encampments. And this lady's, I was so scared. I was the victim. They didn't have a permit.
with the event. So the state and government, it believes, has sent in forces because of the threat of turning violent.
Like, these people
And
can't stop telling
I'm not quite sure
on
what is happening in
themselves.
the middle because I'm trying to stay more on the safer side of it.
This is the entire Zionist mindset, right? I'm the victim. Yeah, it's settler behavior. It's behavior. It's colonialist mindset. I'm the victim, while there's people being brutalized by state violence for expressing basic, like, free speech immediately behind me. But I'm the victim.
But I believe there are obviously being some arrests made at violent conduct. We're here today not to counter protest, more to just observe and show that there's still going to be a Jewish and Israeli presence on campus, no matter these protesters' attempts to take us away.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you want to say or add? You know, I think I've been covering these protests for a long time now, right?
Yeah.
And the ongoing issues with Israel and Hamas and all of that. But I think what you said is really important. You guys aren't counter-protesting the pro-Israel protesters. You guys are just making your presence known. Why do you think distinguishing between that divide is so important? Because I think a lot of people are technically trying to create that divide.
Yeah, I think it's the similar thing when you're evaluating what is hate speech and what is freedom of speech. There comes a line when you have to recognize if what you're planning on hosting or saying is going to do more good or going to do more bad. And if it's the case where you're just going to cause a massive disruption on the last day of classes when pretty much every student is preparing for finals, that doesn't seem like it has the best of intentions, and that it seems like it has an intent to disrupt and ruin campus lives. I feel like what's happening here is not an attempt to protest the law, what's happening to innocent civilians all over the Middle East and in our university. It's more meant to target
Gleefully
Jewish-
smiling while her peers get dragged away in handcuffs. Oh, but the finals are coming up, though. The finals are coming up. Where's this sound coming from? The finals are coming up.
Israeli or even non-conforming students, and that's something that can't be accepted on campus. What I wish everyone that was here would take the time to look at a new news source, a new Instagram account.
They're just on the wrong Instagram accounts. That's what's going on. What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
But it believe for their safety. I guess.
Does anyone have a clip of the woman who's like, I'm being surrounded? She calls the police and she's like, I'm being surrounded. She's trying to do that whole thing. Like, the fucking audacity of some of these people is really just incredible.
Is not in harm's way. Nobody is going to hurt them. Nobody is going to attack them. This person is not in harm's way.
They are free to leave.
Nobody is going to hurt them. Nobody is going to attack them. This person is not in harm's way.
Yes, they're right in front of me right now. They're holding signs.
This person is not in harm's way.
I need funds, genocide. I need help. I know that, but they're surrounding me. They won't let me move.
No, you are free to move. You are free to move. She is free to move.
You are free to move. You are free
Amazing.
to move.
She's free to move. She's free to leave. She is free to leave. No one is surrounding her.
Nobody is surrounding you.
She is free to leave.
You are free to leave.
There's 1, 2, 3,
It's a
4,
public school
5,
teacher.
6,
That's great.
7, 8, 9, 10. There's Western University. These are students. They're surrounding me.
She's
when
free to
people are
leave. No
making
one's
these
surrounding
calls,
her.
they're making these calls with the intention of having these students attacked by violent thugs. Like, they're trying to ensure that these people are like the victims of state violence. They're trying to wield the power of the state to attack people that they don't like. Like, it's really sick.
No one is surrounding her.
No one is surrounding her.
I'm just walking my dog. I need help.
She's free to leave.
I'm a Jewish American. I need help.
I'm just walking my dog.
Please come and help me.
I don't understand what the problem is. Come help me. Come help me. Help you do what? It's so strange. What is the matter with these people? The dog's like, can we get out of here? Can we please just get out of here? I just fell out of a coconut tree. I need the police. I don't exist in the context of everything that came before me. No, it is very similar. This is what I mean. It's like a weenus. It's like you're the aggressor and you act like the victim. Like that's the Zionist mentality. That's the colonialist mentality. That's the reactionary mentality. It's all linked together. I'm a Jewish American and I need help. I'm being surrounded. Before I gotta get going, folks, I got about another 35 minutes or so. I think we can have we can do a little Vietnam talk. I think we can do just a little bit. Was just watching Tanky Therapy. Yeah, there we go, Old Dutch. I'm glad you like it. This sure looks good. It looks really good. I saw this picture though, and I think this is just a wonderful image. I had never seen this before. I love this. Guidelines for a smaller protest near me have explicit guidelines to not to talk to media independently. I'm sure that the larger encampments have more strictly defined rules. Yeah, I was happy that I was able to get some folks to talk to me yesterday. Like I was saying, I was kitted out as a pro-Palestine propagandist, but I mean, you can also fake that. So I was happy that that guy was able to talk to me because he seemed very cool.
Saigon, April the 30th, 8 o'clock. The last American helicopter on the roof of the American embassy prepares to lift off the last of the evacuees fleeing before the advancing communist
Just remember
army.
what I was saying earlier, though. Imagine the feeling.
This scene, in fact
Centuries
every scene
of
in this
struggle.
report, was filmed
Centuries.
by a UPITN camera team who chose to remain behind in the beleaguered capital to record the final victory of the Viet
Hundreds
Cong
of years
and
of
North
colonization.
Vietnamese in South Vietnam. The American airlift only took a fraction of those who wanted to leave, and for hours after the last departure, scores of people still crowded onto the embassy roof in the vain hope of rescue. One of them was an American employer who tried to get all his staff out.
I had one select man that should definitely have left. I was waiting for him. He's sitting up here now, and here we are.
How do you rate the chances?
Negligible now.
Do you think the last ones have gone?
I think they're all gone. I think these people up here are committing suicide staying up here, but what can you do?
This is what I was talking about earlier.
Those who
saying
failed on
it
that
must have
last
seemed
day to get a
insurmountable.
place on the helicopters and who had reason
It's
to
hopeless.
fear the communist takeover made for the
It
only
right up
route
until you
that
win.
still offered a chance of escape.
It's
the
hopeless
Saigon
and
River.
impossible and insurmountable
Hundreds
right up
scrambled
until
in
you
panic
win.
onto any boats they could reach, not caring how they got aboard or what they left behind. For all of these people, it was in fact a voyage in vain. The communists had already captured the port of Vung Tau at the mouth of the river.
Owned.
By an ironic coincidence, as the overloaded ships cast off, their passengers watched helplessly as the last flights of American helicopters passed overhead, making for the certain safety of the American fleet out in the South China Sea. Back in the city, normal patterns of behavior broke down. In a climate of every man for himself, American homes, offices, and stores were looted of everything. The American embassy was ransacked in a matter of hours, despite a government warning that looters would be shot on sight. What wasn't worth taking was simply junked on the streets. The junk wasn't just paper. The streets were also littered by small arms and other items of military kit thrown away by South Vietnamese soldiers. The discarded equipment even ran to tanks, some damaged, but some also abandoned intact by their crews as they fled before the communists. The South Vietnamese army began to disintegrate. Even the crack airborne units took off their uniforms and threw away their weapons. From the presidential palace, General Min ordered all troops to cease fighting, a decision that pleased at least one paratrooper we spoke to.
I'm very happy that General Min come, see? So I see very happy. I cannot say anything now.
You think it's right to stop
Yeah, that's
fighting?
right, yeah. Because the Vietnamese people all the fight, but more than 25 years now. So now we don't stop fighting, you know. I'm very happy, you know, very happy for all the kids and me. All the people of the Vietnamese army.
What are you going to do yourself now?
How can you
now,
not see those
we need to
tanks? How can you not see those tanks rolling into liberated Saigon and not have a swelling of pride in your heart? That's why I'm proud to be a tankie. What a beautiful sight that must have been, and it remains a beautiful sight to this day.
If I don't have the job, I can take care of one taxis. I can ride around, make the money every day for my wife and my baby. Everybody happy. Don't want to fight anymore.
Not everyone saw defeat so optimistically. This officer shot himself in front of the soldiers' monument a couple of hours before the communists entered the city. And then, shortly after midday, came the climax of 30 years of fighting. The first
Amazing.
North Vietnamese troops
Again,
entered the
30 years of fighting, but I think 200 years of colonization of the French prior to those 30 years. Entire lifetimes. Like, think about that. Think of how long that is. Entire lifetimes, entire generations passed with Vietnam just being a province of fucking France. and then a 20-year struggle against the French and a 10-year struggle against the Americans, who engaged in so many acts of depraved violence and barbarity. For this day to finally come. What a victory. What an inspiring sight.
City packed into trucks that flew the red and blue flag of the Communist Provisional Revolutionary
Japanese were in there too for a while. Yeah, the Japanese, they were part of they like helped kick out the French, and then they got deposed themselves, and the French tried to go back in charge, get put back in charge. The Japanese created actually the short-lived Republic of Vietnam in between the French occupation and the American war. But yeah, they got a little turn as well.
Minutes later, their Russian-made tanks smashed down the gates of the presidential palace and took up positions in the grounds. There was no resistance. South Vietnamese troops were soon flushed out and surrendered without a fight. So, on its final day, the communist offensive ended without bloodshed. Imagine your country being
invaded and you fight in the army of the country doing the invading.
That impressed even the most jaded observers.
That's just sad. The South Vietnamese army. You're fighting with the colonizers, with the occupiers.
The new masters in Saigon, or Ho Chi Minh City as they called it, were clearly delighted. It had been a very disciplined arrival, the result of careful and detailed planning in which every unit knew precisely
I would do it in our
where
case,
to go
though,
and what
absolutely.
to do. And it had all gone without a hitch.
The thing is, I wouldn't, if we were invaded, I wouldn't see it as being occupied. I was seeing it as being liberated.
President for only 2 days formally capitulated. He greeted his communist captors with the words, "You have come, the revolution has come," and then declared he was handing over power to people who deserved it more than he did. He was led away with his government ministers to a waiting jeep, consoled slightly
dignity.
by the knowledge that his surrender broadcast had, at any rate, avoided unnecessary bloodshed.
That's how you leave with dignity. 2-day ass presidency.
For the rest of the day, North Vietnamese and Viet Cong troops marched steadily into Saigon. Hardened regulars in jungle battle dress, some pushing bikes, others in the more casual uniforms of guerrilla fighters. They were a disciplined force. Among the thousands who arrived, there wasn't a single reported case of theft, drunkenness, rape, or shooting. People who hours earlier had feared for their lives now turned out on the streets to cheer and welcome. The sense of relief in Saigon was almost tangible. The victors seemed as concerned to win the cooperation of the vanquished as the vanquished were to give it. And indeed, such cooperation was essential, since Saigon now had no police force to control day-to-day law and order. The relaxing of tension made for an almost holiday atmosphere as the celebrations of victory got underway. The first demonstrators on the streets were the Buddhists, many of whom had long opposed the military regime in Saigon and the involvement of the Americans in the war. Other groups soon followed, and the city returned almost to normal within 48 hours. The new rulers issued warnings that looters would be shot, and the lawlessness of the last days of South Vietnam ceased immediately. As the first day of peace for 30 years dawned in Vietnam, the banks and some shops remained closed.
Let's see some Uncle Ho's in the chat.
But in Saigon's markets, it was business as usual. prices of meat and vegetables rose slightly in the first 2 days of communist rule and then leveled out. And the city's black markets continued to flourish. There were, of course, some changes. In the main market, traders were quick to peddle a new line in flags.
I'd like one. I'd like a flag.
With virtually every building and home being decorated for the forthcoming
That
victory
flag goes
celebrations,
hard.
demand was brisk for the red banner with the yellow star,
Great
the
looking
national
flag.
of North Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm a flag-waving nationalist, whatever.
Lapel-sized liberation flags were also a popular choice, along with the ubiquitous posters of the man whose dream was now fulfilled, Ho Chi Minh. Though there were few immediate supply problems, the long-term future is not so secure. Saigon may, for example, become a city of bicycles like Hanoi and Peking. Petrol is scarce and costs the equivalent of up to $10 a gallon on the black market. Since nearly all South Vietnam's needs were previously met and paid for by the Americans, fuel is certain to become even more scarce and expensive, and it can't be long before most of Saigon's Hondas are driven off the streets. Another event to signal the change of regime, the pulling down of the South Vietnamese Army monument in front of the National Assembly building. It was never a popular statue with the people of Saigon. The cynics used to say it showed an American soldier pushing his South Vietnamese counterpart in front of him into battle. Its destruction was ordered by the new city government, and scores of people turned out to chip away at the two huge cement figures. After a couple of hours' frantic work, the monument was toppled amidst great jubilation.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Long live Vietnam.
Hell yeah. Pac-Man, thank you. Thanks for the 21 months resub at tier 2. Hey.
Two weeks after the communist takeover, some schools reopened. At this one, a black uniformed communist cadre began the first course in what's officially called re-education. Crowded round her were the students who would later reenact the liberation of the South in what's become the traditional communist propaganda play, the Americans and their evil reactionary allies against the People's Revolutionary Forces.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Other instructors were drilling children in rehearsals for the parades and demonstrations that would form a large part of the official victory celebrations to be spread over 3 days.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Ugopnik. Hello, it's our friend Ugopnik. Welcome, Raiders. Thanks for the raid.
You can count
I
on me.
appreciate
You're
it.
going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Magooms,
TRRS.
Thanks for the 4 months, tier 1 Magooms. Thank you very much. Ugopnik Raiders, hello, I'm Rob. It's nice to see you. We are celebrating. It's the anniversary. The anniversary of the liberation of Saigon. What a wonderful day that must have been. And I was relating, by the way, smash the follow button if you want to. If you're looking at this and you're like, hey, this looks like something that I might want to check out again at some point in the future, please smash the follow button. Also, Hitler offed himself today. What a wonderful day. Well, that's what I was saying earlier, though. Like, as hopeless as it must have felt to be a principled, dedicated Vietnamese revolutionary, right? 30 years of struggle, hundreds of years of colonization prior to that, and then 30 years of struggle where they slayed two gigantic imperialist beasts in the French and the Americans. How there must have been so many days that people that were deeply involved in that struggle were saying, we can't do this. It's too hard. They're too powerful. They're too strong. We're never going to succeed. We're never going to win. You know what? You know what, assholes? They did win. They did win. They saw the day when the American dogs hightailed it out of Saigon, tail between their legs, leaving forever. They won. And we saw the images of the trucks and tanks rolling into Saigon. What a beautiful sight that is. What a beautiful feeling that must have been. After decades of struggling in the dirt to overthrow these imperialist monsters occupying their nation. How incredible must that have felt to see the Americans leaving, running away in their helicopters, and having the trucks and tanks rolling into Vietnam. It's beautiful. Ever thus to deadbeats, Lebowski. Absolutely.
Especially if their fathers had enough money to bribe the right officials. But Hanoi was calling the tune now, and everyone had to march to it.
Let's go. They wonder what cost America had to have a
sad. Count on me. You're
going
to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
They had to have a sad. American troops felt very sad from doing so much mass murder there and killing all the little kids. They felt really bad about it afterwards. Ugopnik, thanks for the 14 months. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Very, very kind of you, good sir. And if anyone else does want to support this channel, please do. Got 11 subs to go to get to the goal. Please, if you can, support the channel, support the community. Join the Friendship Triangle system. It's Twitch's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. $5 a month. What a fucking deal that is.
Presidential Palace, members of Saigon's Military Management Committee addressed a mass rally of troops assembled to celebrate not only their own recent victory, but also the 21st anniversary of the defeat of the French at Dien Bien.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Anon.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
After the speeches, the inevitable parade, led by posters of Ho Chi Minh.
What a great parade that must have been. They did it.
The next day, foreign journalists had the opportunity of getting to know Saigon's new leaders better when the committee's chairman, General Tran Van Tra, held a press conference. Through an interpreter, he left no one in any doubt that he'd taken over all aspects of the city's affairs.
Closely united in their task, the revolutionary administration of the city will, together with the people, settle all problems and wipe out all difficulties.
A week later, another rally introduced the Provisional Revolutionary Government itself. On the balcony, the North Vietnamese Army Chief of
Staff.
I
keep wondering. Like,
and next
it's just,
to him,
it's
the
unthinkable.
PRG's #1, Huan
It's
Tan
honestly
Tat.
unimaginable.
Then came North Vietnam's Le Duc Tho, who negotiated the Paris peace agreements, and Madame Binh, the PRG's foreign minister. All of them looked highly pleased.
Hell yeah, I'm a tanky. Look, how can you not be a tanky? Look at that.
The victory parade. A whole division of troops took part, 10,000 men. But as North Vietnam always maintained it had no troops in the south, every soldier in the parade wore the badge of the PRG. As the parade of hardware went on, the overriding impression was one of finality, that the communists had established beyond all question a tight and unopposed control over the land and people that had suddenly become theirs. Without the huge American investment that supported
And like I was saying before,
South Vietnam will
you're
need the help of
goddamn
all
right.
its people to make the inevitable transition to a socialist system. And though the conquerors will brook no political opposition, they will probably hope for genuine cooperation as they move away from the art of war and towards the less spectacular but more complex art of government.
Hell yeah. And like I was saying before, a lot of the same, like there's so many parallels between the anti-Vietnam War protests and, you know, the war and all the same kind of stuff. Like, do you condemn the North Vietnamese? Do you condemn the Viet Cong? We can talk about ending the war. We can be anti-war, but you can't support the North Vietnamese. Look at all these atrocities. Look at all these atrocities that the New York Times has reported on, that the North Vietnamese have done. You're saying you have to condemn that. How is America not considered a colonial power? Well, it is. I mean, that's the answer, Tangled Bug. It is considered a colonial power by everyone around the world except people in America. That's the amazing thing with me when I point out like the American empire, and Americans really say like, what empire? What? We don't have an empire. What are you talking about? And it's just like, are you people serious? There's no one more delusional. These people, they can't even see the empire that they live in. They live in it and they can't see it. It's just invisible to them. What? We just have a patchwork of international allies. Just lying to themselves. The American propaganda machine, one of the most heavily propagandized people in the entire world, who ironically think it's everyone else that's propagandized except them. That's the ultimate victory of American and Western propaganda. Everyone's brainwashed except me. Everyone's propagandized to except me. The ultimate victory of Western propaganda. The most sophisticated propaganda panopticon ever devised in all of human history. We all just grew up in it. Grew up totally inundated with it, totally surrounded by it. And if you manage to break out of that, break free of that, you should be proud of yourself. You should congratulate yourself, and I'm proud of you. It's not easy. It's not easy to break out of that. The brainwashing is very strong here. Look what's going on right now. Look at this. Breaking news. We at Chapel Hill have taken off the American flag from center of Polk Place and replaced it with a Palestinian flag. Look at that. Look at that. And then, of course, you have these comments from a Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Avi, it's a bad move. You're losing supporters because of this. This account, Code Blue with the RBG Avi, was so close to supporting Palestinian liberation, but that's too far. That's gone too far now. You've lost them. You've lost them. Anyway, folks, I do have to get going pretty soon. This is not helping your cause, says person who does not support your cause. Classic. Yeah, many such cases. I am 9 subs away from the goal. As you know, folks, I did do some like live reporting yesterday. Was not really able to do it for that long, or was not really able to get to the old sub goal as a result. So if you can, please do subscribe to this channel. I have 9 measly
You can count on
subs
me.
away
You're
from
going to
the
have
goal.
good old Rob to talk
Now
you
only
through all
8,
this.
thanks to our friend Barbara. Thank you, Barbara, for the 13 months tier 1. I appreciate that, Barbara. Only 8 measly subs away from the goal. Again, I would really like to hit those goals, hit those targets, get those gains for the rest of the week. I was happy I went down to the encampment yesterday and did some live reporting, but I'm going to try and make up for that by hitting the old targets every day this week, if I can, if possible. And you can help me make that happen. You can support this program. You can support this community. You can join the community. You can ensure that this kind of dialogue and discourse remains on twitch.tv if you subscribe to the channel. Only a measly 8 subs to go. It was live action Rob. It was very exciting. By the way, I don't think I said thank you to some folks yesterday. Okay, let's see if I can just scroll down here. We had Kijiji Genie gifting a sub yesterday. Thank you, Kijiji Genie. We have Dan Wally, who gifted 500 bits. Thank you, Dan.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to
Spaceman
talk you through
Zador
all this.
resubbing with Prime yesterday. Thank you, Spaceman. We had Metal Dipshit resubbing for
You've
36
just become
months.
an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Thank you, Metal Dipshit. And we had an Anon sub as well. And now we got Weenus, our friend Weenus. Thanks for the gifted sub. Really appreciate all the support. Weenus. And thank you as well to Ben Bang Boom 10. 5 gifted subs. Let's go. Thank you very much, Ben. Very kind of you. And now only 2 subs to go. Only 2 little subs to go. It was a cool stream. I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed doing that, actually. I would like to do more of that stuff.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Situation. Cicero, thanks for the gifted sub. Very much appreciated, Cicero. Thank you for that. Hopefully you see more of them popping around the country. Saw UBC join. And the more they're trying to extinguish this movement, the more it's going to continue growing. I saw in Colombia they're threatening to expel students. They're threatening to expel students now in Colombia. And you have Democrats even that are putting together statements to send to Colombia to be like, you have to act swifter. Destroy these encampments, destroy this movement.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dr. Maggot, thank you for a gifted sub. I really appreciate it, Dr. Maggot. We did it, chat. This isn't a new one up the Reds. I've had this one for a while. Only Rob would leave in a hype train. I don't super want to stay longer, but yeah, I like hype. I like hype. Do we have anyone else? I'll give people another minute. Okay? We do have a hype train. If you want to keep subscribing, obviously we hit the goal. That's wonderful. It is just a basic guideline. It's not a hard and fast limit or rule or anything like that. So you can still subscribe if you want to, and we can get access to special hype train emotes as well. You know? If you want to, we can do that. do we got? What do we got? I'm not sure if I can support your cause if you're the type of person that would leave during a hype train. Well, the thing is, if people are subscribing, yeah, that's one thing I don't want to leave. If it's just this hype train and I'm just looking at a number tick down and there's no actual effect, then it doesn't really make any difference. You know? If people really do want to subscribe, okay, that's wonderful if people want to do that. You know? That's fantastic. If I'm just looking at the number click down and nothing is actually happening, that's not really having much of an impact. As you know, I do like to use this platform to uplift smaller streamers that are struggling to make a name for themselves. You know, people were there for me when I was getting started here on Twitch, so I like to pay it forward. I like to pay it forward and raid some like little known, lesser viewed channels and streamers. You want to support these kind of smaller creators.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Rob mode.
Becky Risk Inverse for the 500 bits. Very cool. Thank you. I'll be back tomorrow, okay, folks? I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you a lot. Thanks for...
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Chess. Thanks for the tier 1 sub. 6 months in advance. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Third Chess. Really appreciate that. Thank you. You're correct that some of the very best tiny little images... Some of the very best tiny little images on this entire goddamn platform. Take care, folks.